What's up, turtles? It's Krik here with Black Outdoors, and today I'm going to be doing a review and a video on the Kabar Becker BK16 Drop point fixed blade knife. It's a lot to say, but here it is in its sheath. This retails for around, not sure the retail, you can find online for around 70-80 bucks with the sheath included. And poking out here of the sheath are the actual, or the other color scales that come with the knife as opposed to the black. But I'll get you close-ups in a little bit when I get the knife out. But first I want to talk about the sheath. And my first impressions of the sheath when I saw this was it's a quality, definitely a quality sheath. And getting into a little more details of it, in the front here there's a little pocket that's held together by Velcro. And big enough for a sharpening stone or various other survival outdoor accoutrements. Down here I have a little clip, a little loop to help attach you to or things to. Also around here to go around, obviously, the thigh if you're going to wear it on the hip. Holding the knife in, it's not a friction sheath, so we have these two clasps that have buttons. Quality, and just the main point I want to get across with this sheath is that everything feels pretty quality. The stitching, the Cordura, I never feel like there's like weak stress points, or the stress points on the knife don't feel weak. Like when I unbutton this, it's not going to feel like the button's cheap or chintzy or it's going to come out, or any of these ends are going to fray and the stitching is going to come out, which I have seen on knives that actually are pretty comparable in price to this, the BK16. Some of those other knives that come in pretty, frankly speaking, crappy sheaths, but this is not one of them. And it's attached to the body with the belt loop here. But it could also be attached without unbuckling, I guess, your belt. It has Velcro to be able to put on without taking your belt off, which I always find is really not that easy. It's easier just when you take the belt off and thread it through as it's closed. And I'm not a huge fan of Velcro, which this is held together with Velcro. But there's a redundant system with the button here, so maybe if over time this gets worn, debris gets in it, whatever, Velcro is not going to last forever. There's a button. So it's a nice little extra feature in addition to the Velcro, which is strong. So this is the sheath. Now let's get into the knife. Let the camera get some nice close-ups of it. I'm just going to run down the specs real quick, give you the numbers. Overall length 9 1/4 inches, blade length 4 3/8. It's made out of 1095 Crovan. Flat grind, drop point. You can get a little close up where you can see the drop point in the blade design at the tip. Moving down the scales, the handle. This is like the tan, I guess maybe coyote brown color. But the black comes with it, and these are in addition to. And just for a nice contrast, got that coyote tan on the knife. Overall weight 6.4 ounces. So I really like the style of this knife, the proportions. I think it looks like just a classic survival bushcraft type knife. Handle long enough to come out of my hand. Very comfortable in different ways of holding the knife in my hand. The classic cut out in front of me, more of a defensive style, if you will. And just the ergonomics of the handle. You can almost get a profile. You might be able to see the swoops in it. Has this almost belly right here to go in the palm of your hand. It's really comfortable. The design of the handle. One thing I'm going to say about the handles is I'm not sold on the zytel, I guess, texture. It's a little smooth for my liking. I don't really think it might not be necessary to switch these out, spend more money on the knife. I think you can improve the knife in other ways, which I'll talk about, but I think the scales can stay for now. Okay, another area of concern, which I sort of just alluded to, is that this knife did not come shaving razor sharp from the factory. And that's kind of disappointing. I've seen other fellows making the same comments, that their blade was not coming shaving sharp, which you'd expect from, Becker and Kabar. But with a little bit of, your own work, you can either convex the blade if you so desire, if it's something you desire in a blade, or you can just put make it a little bit sharper on your own. Moving over to this the coating now, the black coating. It's very coarse and rough, and it almost feels like, get a little bit of wear over here with wood. It feels like it's way too rough, and it's gonna promote a lot of drag when you're trying to go through wood. And just for comparison, I'm gonna pull out the SD4 just to give a size comparison, because they're pretty similar knives that people, know a lot about, they've seen reviews on. In the BK16, longer handle, pretty much identical design knives with proportions count, but a little bit longer handle. I don't feel like it's increasing the functionality of the knife with the shorter handle on the SE, because where the contact meets, there's really no need for any longer handle. This comes out, but it just looks cool, and there's a little space for a lanyard. But just rubbing my fingers, you're not going to be able to tell on camera. Just feeling the different coatings on here, this is so much coarser than the coating on the SE. And this actually, the coating on this would be really great to replace my pumice stone from the wear I get from my boots on my toes and heel. All joking aside, I actually think this knife would perform better if you take the coating off, which is, it's pretty easy to do yourself. Not a lot of resources. You don't need a workshop to do it. You can pretty much spray it, let it sit, really highly corrosive, chemicals to strip it off if you're into playing around with things that are horrible for the environment. But with that being said, I like the knife. I'm going to do some cutting with it, show you some of the uses and tasks with it, but I just want to make clear that I'm not a fan of the coating. I'd probably strip it off, and the blade's not quite as sharp as it should be. But with a little bit of work, you can pretty much improve this to a great quality knife with just a few extra things, and you're really not going to have to put too much more money into it. With that being said, let's do some cutting. Now, just to show some various cutting with the knife, I'm going to go cross grain with this branch I have here on this log. And ideally, you really never want to do this with a knife because you're on a cross grain, it's kind of tough. But I'm going to do it anyways for the video. Just work a little V into here. Probably should have got a little bit of heavier baton, some weight to it. But you can see it's going in. Like I said, this is not sharp. I haven't put a different edge on it. I wanted to actually show you how this is going to perform when it's coming out of the factory, showing up to you on your doorstep. But as you see, I'm banging on this knife. I don't feel like it's weak. It's going to fail on me. And I got a little bit of a notch in there. Sorry, jacking all this around so you can see it. So not a really typical use of this. To cut through this, a saw would make it much easier. You can carry a little hand saw with you. But let's give you a little demonstration of it. Next, I'm going to baton this piece of wood just to show you it is batonable. A knife this size really is not meant to do a lot of wood. Firewood processing, but it's capable because it's a full tang. It's strong, quality knife material. And like I said, because of this rough coating, I could really sort of feel the knife was biting in. You can see the wear, or the particles of wood that are really showing up on the coating, which it's not really going to compromise the coating so much protective quality, but it's really it feels like it's increasing drag as it's going through pieces of wood. But anyways, got two nice pieces of beautiful hemlock here to burn or do anything with. Show a little bit of carving now that I actually have it. Like I said, it feels really comfortable in the hand with the ergonomics of the scales. And it just doesn't feel as sharp as it should. For the price and the companies that are putting this knife out, I feel like it should be a lot sharper. This is birch. But I do want to reiterate and make clear that this is a quality knife. With a few modifications to the coating and putting a sharper or different edge on this, I think this could be definitely a favorite knife. I just really like the design, the proportions of it. Like I said, to me it has that classic, that woods bush knife to it, the look of it, and it's coming with quality. So just do a little more cuts with it. if I were doing a notch or something like that in a piece of wood, I'd probably use this style of cut. Not really drawing it towards me like this, because as we all know, that's very dangerous, bringing the knife towards your hands. I'm more just going down at an angle. Make sure I keep contact with the piece of wood. Okay. Anyways, that concludes the testing portion of the video, and I'd just like to thank you for being here. This is Krik signing out with Black Outdoors. Later, turtles.